Hello and good morning. Today I will also be doing a dramatic reading of Big Mac's Crazy Daisy Day by One Terrible Writer. Comedy. And the tagline says, "Stay away from the flower girls." That's what Applejack always told Big Mac. But the lure of a night in Daisy's bed was just too strong to resist. Too late he realizes his mistake, and now his little Mac is in danger. Can Caramel help him? Can Doctor Whooves? Can Twilight? You won't believe what Daisy can do of a daisy. Ooh. Stay away from the flower girls. That was what Applejack had told him, time and time again. They ain't no good, Mac. You stay well clear of them, understand? Almost every week without fail she had given him that lecture, and every week he had nodded and smiled at his little sister. Big Mac understood what she meant. He understood only too well. He indulged her whims. Every time she had come out with that tirade, he had promised to stay away from Rose, stay away from Lily, and especially stay away from Daisy. Frankly, it just made the whole thing more enticing. "Harder!" Big Mac moaned out, Daisy crying beneath his weight as he slammed his hips into her once more. His hooves gripped her pink flank as hard as he could manage as he plunged his length into her sweet body again and again, driving her face down into the bed, savouring the orgasmic delight. Well, I wasted no time. "Take me, Big Mac! More! More!" Big Mac grunted, his huge balls slapping against her behind as her inner walls tightened around him. He'd only popped his head in to ask for help minding his apple cart. The crazy mare had all but leapt upon him the moment they were alone. "Stay away from the flower girls." The words echoed around Big Mac's head, but Daisy had laid it out on a plate for him. She was just too enticing. "Oh yes, Big Mac! Oh yes!" He was not one for words, but the vigour with which Daisy had taken to his body had knocked even the barest utterance out of him. She writhed and squirmed underneath, that delicious green mane bobbing back and forth, her beautiful coat rippling as they screwed. The sound of her moaning and the squelching of bodily fluids was music to his ears. Despite being on top, he was powerless, unable to stop pistoning in and out of her, caught in her vaginal clutches. Oh my! I've got a better idea. With one surprisingly strong motion, Daisy twisted, rolling Big Mac onto his back and swivelling on his cock so she was now riding atop him, still impaled on his member. That sounds painful. "I've always had my eye on you, you know," she smiled, looking down on him, her eyes gleaming in a strange manner as she reached a hoof bat to fondle his balls. As he lay beneath the writhing Daisy, Big Mac remembered another wise adage at the back of his mind: "Never stick your dick in anything crazy." He shook off any doubts. Daisy seemed nice enough. "I'm going to smash your nuts with a brick!" Daisy cried out suddenly, snatching up a large chunk of masonry from her bedside table. Big Mac's eyes bulged in panic and he tried to haul her off, but he couldn't get any leverage. She was impaled tightly on his cock, seemingly enjoying the thrashing and squirming as Big Mac attempted to extradite himself. She raised the brick and brought it crashing down onto a pile of walnuts also lying on the table. Big Mac's head flopped back onto the pillow with a moan of relief as Daisy continued to ride his rock-hard cock. "Oh, you're good at bucking when you're flustered." She smiled down sultrily, grinding her hips down hard. "Maybe you'll be even more entertaining if I devour your plums." "No!" Big Mac finally managed to choke out a word as Daisy reached behind herself to grope his balls again, rocking his body back and forth to throw her off, but simply resulting in driving his cock deeper and faster into the maniacal mare. She let out a shuddering moan and with her other hoof grabbed a plum from her table and popped it into her mouth. "You should have seen your face," she murmured down to him, stroking one juice-covered hoof over his panting face. "I can stop, you know, if you've had enough." She slowly pulled her body off Big Mac's cock with a wet, slurping sound. He stifled a moan as cool air hit his rock-hard erection, which continued to throb in front of his eyes, now unsatisfied. No, it's okay," he whimpered, heart racing as he almost begged her to climb back onto his member. "I don't mind. It's good." "I'm glad." Daisy stroked a hoof up and down the length of Big Mac's slit cock, causing him to whine out piteously. "I like your little Mac, Big Mac." She tilted her head slightly, placing a hoof on his chest. It was a slight pressure, but after the previous exertion it was enough to hold him down. Besides, his mind was consumed by one thing and one thing only, to get Daisy's incredible body back on his cock. "Have you ever heard of sounding?" Daisy leaned forward to whisper in Big Mac's ear. "It's when you put a rod in a stallion's cock. It's supposed to be amazing." Big Mac's eyes bulged open and he started to rise, but Daisy's hoof pushed him down onto the bed again. She hopped onto his stomach, straddling him with her forelegs as she twisted to look down upon his cock, which ached with need at every touch of her blessed hooves. "Do you want me to suck you off, Big Mac?" Big Mac could only weakly nod. "Yup," he croaked out, trembling with anticipation. "Actually, I want to stick a daisy in your cock," Daisy exclaimed, plucking a long-stemmed daisy from out of her mane, and in one smooth stroke plunged the stem into the hole in the tip of Big Mac's member. "Aye!" Big Mac rocked hard, squirming, his eyes watering in shock and agony as he felt the cool stem of the flower sliding down his urethra until it ran almost the full length. A strange, foreign, painful experience that sent shockwaves through his body. "You crazy mare?" Daisy hung onto his frame with her strong hind legs, taking an almost perverse pleasure in his panic. "Hee!" She giggled like a little filly as the shuddering subsided, and she slid off him, stroking his cock up and down, which throbbed to an almost unimaginable degree. "Look at that! How swollen it is! I've always wanted to do this. Isn't it sexy?" Big Mac tilted his head down. Daisy was nuzzling his cock, from which a single daisy head could be seen sprouting out of the top. "Get it out!" he whimpered as several scratchy pangs of pain shot through the center of his cock. That ain't funny, Daisy. This is over, spoil spurt. I thought you were fun." Daisy narrowed her eyes at Big Mac, and holding some of the petals in her mouth gave a small tug. The daisy did not move, but the slight judder sent flashes of white-hot agony down his raging erection. "Get it out! Get it out!" Big Mac kicked out and fell off the bed, rolling on the floor as the pain in his member threatened to overwhelm him. He dared to look down and saw that it was even redder and more swollen than usual. He reached out a hoof to touch the daisy and recoiled as even the brush of his hoof against it sent waves of pain into him. "Huh! It's stuck!" Daisy looked dispassionately at Big Mac. "Might want to get that seen to. Hey!" Her eyes opened wide again. "I wonder if you can still come. Want to stick it back in me?" She opened her legs invitingly, but Big Mac had already clambered to his feet and was limping out the door for dear life. "Stay away from the flower girls." Oh, how he wished he'd listened. "Caramel! Caramel, open up!" Caramel frowned at the frantic hammering that was coming from his front door. "Big Mac?" he called out, unsure. "Is that you?" He looked around the mess that was his front room, quickly racing around to clean up some of the more undesirable objects lying about. Why was Big Mac visiting him now, at this hour? His heart started to flutter with wild thoughts as he patted down his hair. "Coming! Now! Hurry! I can't wait!" Big Mac's voice sounded desperate, full of desire even. Caramel licked his lips, and at the last minute remembered to hide the photo album, which was full of pictures of that handsome red stallion. Could this finally be the moment he had dreamed of? "Mac!" Caramel threw open the door to be greeted by a sweaty, flustered Big Mac, who immediately pushed past him into the sitting room, looking around shakily. "Come in?" Caramel called out after his friend as he closed the door. "Is this a social call?" "Caramel!" Big Mac lunged for Caramel, placing his forehooves onto the smaller pony's shoulders. "I know I can counter you. I've got a little problem." He looked down. Caramel looked down too, and could have almost fainted. Hanging between Big Mac's legs was the biggest erection Caramel had ever seen. It was almost painfully huge, invitingly twitching in his direction, and topped off by a single daisy head at the top, an obviously romantic gesture on the part of the hunky red pony. "Oh, Big Mac!" He looked into his friend's eyes, seeing a special twinkle as long-suppressed feelings came to the boil. "I have the same problem too!" "What?" Big Mac recoiled. "A crazy mare stuck a daisy in your cock and you can't get it out either?" "Oh." Caramel's world shattered instantly, and he sunk to his haunches. "No, yes, no, kinda, a long time ago, whatever." He looked closer at Big Mac's member and noticed just how swollen it was. The daisy wasn't some sort of romantic finishing touch as he'd first imagined, but it was instead planted deep inside. Just how deep does it go? I don't know. Big Mac's voice was slightly tinged with panic as he looked at Caramel with pleading eyes. I think it's the whole way, but I can get it out. Oh, it hurts so much. Caramel hesitantly reached out a hoof to prod at the pedal, and Big Mac let out a scream. He snatched his hoof away and pondered, eye level now with the daisy-filled cock. I see, he muttered. A daisy stem is covered with millions of fine hairs, all pointed in one direction. It will slide in fine, but if you try to take it out, the hairs will dig into the sensitive flesh, and... He grimaced. Big Mac grimaced back. Get it out! Get it out! He whimpered. I can't go home like this. And, no, I can't go to the hospital. Nurse Redheart is a friend of Applejack. She'll tell her, and then she'll know I was fooling about with one of the flower girls. I'll never live it down. Your secret's safe with me. Caramel patted the side of Big Mac's cock in a friendly gesture. Wait, I've got an idea. All we need to do is get the daisy stem nice and wet. That should weaken the hairs and let us pull it out. What? You mean you want me to do a whiz? Big Mac pulled a face. I don't feel like going, though. I don't think I could. No, Caramel blushed slightly. I mean, if you came, Mac, it would, get the stem nice and wet. He drew himself up to his full height, approximating a brave, rugged pose. And as your friend, it is my duty to help you, no matter what the situation. I know you'd do the same for me. He trailed off slightly, adding quiet please to the end. You'd do that for me? Big Mac looked upon Caramel with untold admiration. I don't know what to say, Caramel, to debase yourself in such a way. He frowned slightly. Why are you putting on those stockings? Caramel finished struggling into a pair of fishnet stockings that he had plucked from under a sofa cushion. I just do, okay? He barked back as he slunk underneath Big Mac's belly. Now just let me do my thing. Taking great care, he started to stroke his hooves along the throbbing cock. Big Mac gave a whimper at Caramel's touch. You're such a good friend, he choked out, drawing in a sharp breath as he felt the stalk shift inside. I'll just imagine it's a mare. I won't tell anyone. He trailed off, almost falling to his knees as Caramel's tongue ran along his shaft. Caramel was dedicated. It's okay, Big Mac, I don't mind. Caramel started to carefully lick around the tip of Big Mac's cock, taking care not to touch the daisy that protruded from the end. One hoof started to fondle his balls, the other stroking along the shaft as he carried on tasting and licking. It was everything he'd ever dreamed of, albeit marred by the strange feminine taste that could be only residue from that harlot daisy. Oomph! Caramel! Big Mac leaned a hoof against the wall as he gritted his teeth. Caramel's tongue was expertly running over and around his shaft. He was still suitably aroused from his incomplete sexual encounter with Daisy, and this was tipping him over the edge. Once more praising his friend for this selfless act of friendship, Big Mac felt his knees buckling. I'm gonna come, he moaned out as he felt a familiar pressure build, and then, blam! He topped onto his side in a blaze of agony as instead of blissful relief, he felt as if his prostate had been stabbed, a terrible, painful pressure in the base of his cock. The only thing he could do was scream and writhe on the ground as he felt a small dribble of warm liquid escape. It's not blood, Caramel called out, looking down at Big Mac's crotch in horror. Honest, just don't look. Big Mac gritted his teeth hard, his vision blurring. I think I'm dying, he whimpered, gulping occasionally at the increased pressure within his member. Hell. That was the last thing Big Mac could remember before he passed out.